Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of The Husbands by Naomi Valkyrie, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. 3 years earlier. Chapter 1, Dorian. Most people come to Hawaii for a vacation, but not me. I came here to kill a man. The twilight air is still as I wait for my target to exit the side entrance of the building. Every evening, like clockwork, he leaves to walk his wife's yappy little dog. After several weeks of surveillance, I'm more than ready to get this job over with and get back to Aubrielle. We've been married for 9 years and I've never missed her birthday. I don't intend to start now. She'd understand. Growing up in this life, she knows how jobs go, but it's the principle. The side door opens and my target steps into sight, nearly tripping over the chihuahua weaving in and out of his legs, tangling him up in the leash. Once the man gets the dog sorted out, he turns my direction to head down the sidewalk. Lining up the shot, I squeeze on the trigger. You can account for a lot of things when you plan a hit, but the human factor is always a wild card. Seemingly out of nowhere, a man steps in front of my target, right into the path my bullet will take. I've got good reflexes, but I'm already too far into the shot to pull back. The only thing for me to do is shift my weapon and hope for minimal damage. Yes, I'm a killer, but I only kill those who deserve it. I can't have the death of an innocent on my hands. The unexpected man falls, and I fire a second shot to get my target before he realizes what's happening. The dog runs around his owner's body, barking. So much for stealth. Packing up my weapon and double checking for any wayward evidence takes no time at all. I could do this in my sleep. It's time to get the hell out of Dodge before the cops show up. Chapter 2, Augustine. Staring at the wall in my hospital room, the doctor's words echo through my brain. You were shot. Lucky it missed anything vital. Should recover nicely with some physical therapy, but likely won't ever entirely have full use of your arm. The cops have been in to question me. Apparently, the guy with the dog was shot too and didn't make it. They have no suspects and no answers to any of my questions, just like I have no answers for theirs. I came to Hawaii to meet a potential client. I'm a graphic artist, for crying out loud. I lead a pretty quiet life, just me, my wife Magnolia, and our hedgehog Spike. No one would have a reason to hurt me. Shit, Magnolia. I need to call her. Between coming out of the fog of anesthesia from the surgery and the doctor giving me a prognosis and the cops' endless questions, I haven't had a chance to even think about anything else. Looking over to the cabinet near the bed, I search for my phone but don't see it. Thankfully, Magnolia's number is one of the few I have memorized, so I can use the phone in the room. Well, I could if it wasn't on the other side of the cabinet, out of reach. Whose brilliant idea was that? Still too discombobulated to want to attempt maneuvering myself out of the bed, I push the call button to get someone to help. A few minutes later, a nurse with way too much energy comes bouncing into my room. What can I help you with? I need to make a call, but I can't reach the phone. Would you move it closer, please? Sure thing, she says, skipping to the cabinet. Dear heavens, it's like someone hooked her up to an IV drop of pure sunshine. I suppose it's better than getting a grouchy nurse. I'm definitely in no mood for that. She slides the phone over to me. Can I help you with anything else? Not right now, thanks. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot. Your physical therapist will be here in a few hours to go over treatment with you. A nod of acknowledgement is all I can muster. My energy is fading fast, and I want to call Magnolia before I've got nothing left in the tank. Once the nurse is gone, I dial Magnolia and wait for her to answer. I can't remember if anyone from the hospital or law enforcement called her already. They may have told me, but I've been so out of it, I don't recall. At this point, I don't know what to expect when she answers. Hello? Leah, it's me. How dare you almost die on me, you bastard? I didn't almost die, I say in amusement. You were shot. The doctor says I'm going to be fine. I'll need physical therapy, but I'll recover. Mostly, but now is not the time to get into the details of the limited use of my arm. I'm trying to get a flight, but I have Willow's kids for another 2 weeks, so it's taking some maneuvering. Leah, don't fly down. Really, I'm fine. I'll be a little later coming home because I'm going to get in some physical therapy before I travel, but I'll be back soon. Just have a good time being the fun aunt. I'll keep you updated. After letting out an exasperated huff, she says, "Okay, if you're sure." "I'm sure, baby. I'll call you later. Love you." "I love you too, and you're still a bastard for making me worry." Smiling, I hung up the phone, feeling better now that I've talked to Magnolia and she's taken the situation fairly well, all things considered. But as relieved as I am, the call used up the last of my energy and I quickly drop into a dreamless sleep. Chapter 3. Dorian. It took some doing, but I tracked down the guy I accidentally shot and set things up to get in to see him as his physical therapist. I need to see for myself that he's recovering. The only upside to this situation is that the man I was actually targeting died, so I achieved my goal, keeping my reputation intact. Efficiency, success, and reputation are what keep me in business and alive. I can only hope no one goes digging too deeply into my backstory since this time around it was a rush job. Standing in front of the door to his room, I knock and wait for a response. Nothing. Knocking again, I listen more closely for any kind of sound, but everything is silent. Easing the door open, I listen for movement. The TV is off and the room is still. Stepping further in, I notice he's asleep. Augustine Evans. The only thing I can see about him at first glance is his copper hair, fine facial features, that he looks fairly fit. The blankets make it difficult to see any more detail, but he's definitely handsome, which is something I need to be not noticing. He must sense my presence because he opens his eyes. They remind me of pumpkins with deep orange tones. A man could get lost in them. Hi? Can I help you with something?" he asks, drawing me out of my trance. "I'm David," I say, giving him my alias. "I'm your physical therapist while you're here in Hawaii." "Augustine, but I'm sure you already knew that. Pull up a chair and tell me all the ways you're going to torture me." I can think of a lot of things I'd like to do to him, none of it torture of the painful kind, unless he's into that sort of thing. God, I need to cut this out and focus. Not only am I coming off of a job, I'm married. I'm bisexual, but haven't felt attraction to a man in years. Why now? What is it about Augustine that's tripped that trigger? We spend the next hour talking and going over his temporary treatment plan. He's easy to talk to, and it's difficult to keep thoughts of attraction at bay. I've been traveling a lot lately, and I miss Aubrielle. That's all it is. I just need to wrap this up and go back home to her. Chapter 4. Augustine. I've been out of the hospital a few days, and today is the first day that David is coming to the apartment for a physical therapy appointment. Glancing around the space, I check for any random pieces of clothing I may have left lying around. With my shoulder and arm out of commission, I've been lax on tidying up. The cruise line I'd come to Hawaii to talk business with is putting me up in an apartment, and I'm grateful for it. I don't think recovery in a hotel would be as comfortable, although the room service and cleaning service would be nice. I've been eating takeout in order to not have to wash dishes. It doesn't work out well when you've only got one working arm. Lifting my shirt a little, I take a sniff to make sure I don't stink. Bathing has been a challenge, just like everything else, but somehow I've managed to keep myself clean and presentable. Why am I even worried about any of this? David is a physical therapist. He's probably used to seeing people when they aren't at their best. I don't have time to analyze it because a knock sounds. After taking one last look at myself in the small mirror by the entrance, I open the door. David pulls his sunglasses down to look me in the eye. "May I come in?" His eyes are a similar color to mine, only a shade lighter with flecks of yellow. "Augustine, may I come in?" he asks again when I haven't responded to the first inquiry. Nodding my head, I step back out of the doorway, hoping he doesn't say anything about me staring. "Yes, you can set your stuff in the living room." David walks in and sets his bag of equipment down, then looks at me. "How have you been managing so far?" "I have painful times and less painful times. The pain meds help, but I don't like the idea of being on them long term." Something flashes through David's eyes, but it's gone before I can decipher it. "Well, let's get to work, shall we?" he asks, turning away to dig around in his bag. "Let the torture begin." "Let's call it a day," David says. Sighing in relief, I relax back onto the couch. Even the simple exercises he has me doing wear me out. I'm lucky I didn't lose my arm entirely, but the recovery road is going to be long and painful. Would you get me a bottle of water out of the refrigerator, please? I don't think I can move just yet. Sure thing, David says as he zips up the equipment bag. Leaving the living room, he heads to the kitchen. I hear the refrigerator open, then he says, Augustine, what have you been living on? There's no food in here. Takeout, mostly. It's challenging to cook with one hand when you're not used to it. Haven't quite adapted yet, not to mention the trickiness of doing dishes. The refrigerator door closes, and David walks back to me, handed me the water bottle. I'm going to go drop my stuff off and then go to the grocery store. I'll be back to cook you some lunch. You need some decent food to keep up your strength and help with recovery. You really don't have to do that. I know. I want to. I don't know what to say to that, so I just nod and agree. David picks up his bag to head out. I'll be back in an hour. I stare after him as the door closes. David is cooking for me. I'm not sure what to do with that or why it makes me feel something. I can't find a name for it at the moment, but it's definitely something good. Chapter 5, Dorian. I don't know what I was thinking when I offered to cook Augustine lunch. That's a lie. It's guilt. I've been guilt-ridden since I fired that shot. Didn't lose an ounce of sleep over the original target, child-molesting bastard. But Augustine, yeah, I've lost a ton of sleep over him. Not all of it is directly from guilt. Some of it is bedroom fantasy, which feeds the guilt. It's a vicious cycle. I really need to leave the man alone, but I can't. So here I am pretending to be a physical therapist so I can keep an eye on him. It's a good thing I've played this part before and have some actual knowledge of the subject. Making my trip to the grocery store as quick as possible, I pick up some fresh veggies for a salad, some chicken, and asparagus. At the last second, I snag a bottle of Pinot Gris and then head for the checkout before I can second guess myself. After paying for everything, I get it loaded into the car and head back toward Augustine's place. It's just lunch. I'm making it for him because he needs to eat nutrient-rich food to help his recovery. No other reason. Well, outside of the guilt. Lies. More lies. But I let myself believe them because nothing can ever come from this stupid attraction to him. Nothing. Ever. Lost in thought, the drive to Augustine's goes by quickly, and before I know it, I'm standing in front of his door again. He opens the door so quickly after my knock that I wonder if he was watching me for me through the window. Wishful fantasy, I suppose. Augustine waves me in, and I go to the kitchen to wash the veggies and get the oven preheated. You really didn't have to go to all this trouble. What do I owe you for the food? It's no trouble at all, and it's my treat. Now, take a seat and tell me how things are going outside of recovering from your injury. While I cook, he fills me in on how he came to be in Hawaii. Somehow, he still managed to land the cruise line as a client, even with being shot, which is good, or I'd feel even more guilty for costing him the job. When the food is ready, I plate it and set one in front of him, then pour a little wine into a glass, setting it beside the plate. I know you can't have a lot of alcohol with the meds you're on, but a little splash shouldn't hurt. I watch as he takes a bite of the food and try not to react when he lets out an obscene moan. Oh my God, that's amazing. So much better than what I've been eating. We eat, having a light conversation in between bites. Augustine actually smiles and laughs a little, which makes me feel good. Things can't be easy for him right now, and it's important for him to keep in good spirits. When we're done, Augustine hands me his plate. As I take it from him, our fingers brush, causing me to still. Our eyes lock, and for a second, I think maybe he's feeling the attraction, but he turns away and finishes the last swallow of his wine. Thank you for lunch. I truly appreciate you taking the time. You're welcome. It should be fairly easy to reheat the leftovers, so you'll have some decent food for another couple of meals. Augustine nods, and there's an awkward silence. Clearing my throat, I turn to the sink. I'll just wash these, and then I'll be out of your hair. Chapter 6, Augustine. David has been coming by the apartment for a week and a half. He's cooked lunch for me several times, complete with leftovers, so I don't have to order out so much. I wonder if he does this for all of his clients. He's going to be gone for a couple of days, flew back to the mainland for his wife's birthday. I don't know why finding out he's married disappointed me so much. I barely even know the man. But as I lie in bed trying to sleep, he seems to be all I can think about. Reaching for the phone on my nightstand, I consider texting him. What would I even say? I miss you? That's ridiculous. What the hell is wrong with me? Seeing Magnolia's picture on my phone screen, I feel a flare of guilt. I haven't called her as much as I should. Between getting everything squared away with the cruise line so we can get back on schedule and spending so much time with David, I've been neglecting my relationship. Opening up the messaging app, I send her a text, knowing it'll make her happy to hear from me. Maybe I'll send her some flowers tomorrow. Yeah, I think I will. I finally fall asleep while planning which flowers I want to put in the arrangement. I'm hard at work on an ad design when my phone vibrates. For a split second, my heart races, thinking it might be David. Then reality smacks me in the face. Why would he be texting me? Shaking my head, I pick up the phone and check the message. It's from Magnolia. Thank you for the flowers. They're beautiful. I miss you. Glad you're coming home in a couple of weeks. Honestly, I miss her too. We had a whole summer vacation planned with our nieces and nephew, which got canceled because of my injury. We'll still have a little time when I get back, but it's not the epic adventure we wanted to give them. Missed you too. Looking forward to seeing you. Setting the phone beside my laptop on the table, I realize I've been working for hours nonstop and I've built up an appetite. Going to the fridge, I pull out a plate of leftovers that David made for me and heat it up. I'm adapting to having limited use of my arm, so it's getting easier to manage everyday tasks. Grabbing a fork out of the drawer, I go back to the couch and sit down. I don't know what comes over me, but I pick up the phone again and snap a picture, then text it to David. I'd be starving if it weren't for your amazing food. Thanks for helping me keep the hangry away. Embarrassment fills me when I realize what I've done. We're not friends. What was I thinking? Maybe he'll ignore it and we can pretend it never happened. I eat quickly, do my best to rinse off the plate, put it in the dishwasher, then distract myself with work. Ever since I met David, I've been all out of sorts, and burying myself in work has been my only reprieve from the chaos in my head.